Of course, Lolli. If you guys don't know Lolli yet, what are you doing? Like, but
Aw, that's a good
oh,
intro.
hello, my cutie patooties. We are here today to do something a little bit different, but I'm super freaking excited. We have the Miss Lolli Wren over here. She has recently released an album. She does music reactions on YouTube. She also appears on Twitch as well to do some stuff with you guys and hang out with you guys and all that lovely things. And yeah, we're gonna sit down with Lolli and have a little chit chat about Lolli.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here and
It is my
putting
pleasure.
up with my stuff.
That is no trouble at all. I'm enjoying it so far.
I looked a little bit into Lolli. And one thing I want to say is that I love your Chihuahua Daphne. She's so cute.
Oh, she loves you too.
Yeah. I just
I'm
saw you
sure.
had like your little story on your Instagram where it's like I think it said hobbies, and then it was just like
Yeah.
Daphne doing this and Daphne doing this, and I was like, yes. Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, she is the light of my life, my guiding star, my only
Sweet.
child. Yeah.
The baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have one too, don't you? You have a fluffy.
I do. She is currently curled up in a heated blanket. It's Miss Goo Goo. She's a little kitty cat.
Oh.
She's 15. And
Aw.
I mean, she's technically my sister's, but I live with my sister at the moment, and so
Oh.
she's become our baby.
Oh, that's nice.
Our little fur baby. Oh. I love her. I have a couple things that I kind of wanted to chit chat and pick your brain about.
Sure.
I know that, or I think that I know that you started your journey in content creation during the pandemic, right, in 2020.
Yeah.
What's the name's meaning?
What, the fairy voice mother?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all linked. It's all, yeah. The reason it came about is because my profession, as it were, is a vocal coach. I teach people how to use their voice. And so before the pandemic, I used to travel to theatre schools. I used to have private sessions in my apartment, and that was it. That's what I did. And then when I wasn't able to do that anymore, because of lockdown, I tried to see if any of my students wanted to go online, and a few of them did, but it was nowhere near enough for me to make a sustainable income. So I had to get creative.
Right.
And I decided to go with the brand thing, the fairy voice mother. It's funny, it came to me on my birthday. I was driving to the beach and I was trying to think of like, how shall I present myself to people on the internet so that they feel comfortable with me and they have an opportunity to sort of feel like it's about them and it's about their voice. And I thought, like they could be like Cinderellas and I could be their fairy voice mother. And so the fairy voice mother, it wasn't really about a YouTube channel. It was a sort of brand or persona or like concept to sort of try and share to potential students that I care about them. And so to back that up, I made some videos on YouTube to sort of go over a few like common things that people want to know about their voice, and so people could see me teach before they hired me to teach them. And then one of the students that I got from this sort of approach let me know that he'd been watching reaction videos, and they are becoming a big thing because people have lots of time now to watch things on YouTube, and he said that I would be suitable to make them as well. And then I started and haven't really stopped. So I started doing reactions a little bit later. So because the content creation starting in 2020, it wasn't really about content creation at all. It was about just becoming a presence so that people could feel like they wanted to work with me in private sessions.
I like it. Yeah. I think that's really, it's really nice being able to see how like coaches work, and because everybody's teaching style is going to be different. Exactly. So kind of finding the right person that fits kind of with you and also clicks with you, you know?
Exactly.
I've taken vocal lessons and with multiple different people, but it's like sometimes it just doesn't quite click, or maybe the communication isn't like kind of clicking, and you sharing that with the reaction community, because as you know now, it's a huge community on YouTube, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it is ginormous. And just the same way as there are so many different, as you rightly said, there's so many different teachers and so many different students, all with different personalities, and some will match and some won't. And that's definitely what you see with reaction channels as well. There are so many different personalities offering them. So there's something for everyone to enjoy that sort of video.
That was also another thing, was like there's so many different, because each person, it's kind of like a different flavor, but also like a different level of, I guess, knowledge, really. So it kind of, people can find what they vibe with, which is nice. One other thing I wanted to ask about the content creation was, what was one of the most treasured things that you've gotten along this kind of journey? I know it wasn't something that you, like the content creation wasn't something you necessarily set out to do, that wasn't like the main purpose, but now that you're kind of on that train a little bit, what's like the most valuable thing that you've kind of gotten from it? If that makes sense.
Self-esteem. Self-esteem, for sure. It's like, another kind of reason why the Fairy Voice Mother was the Fairy Voice Mother and not my name or anything, like, you know, Lolli Vocal Coaching Services, was because I didn't want to be judged by anyone that I already knew for being myself, because I was very shy and very much like, I am at the bottom of the pile, don't look at me, I just want to help, and I don't exist. And that sort of started the Fairy Voice Mother, but also the Fairy Voice Mother meant that no one would find me doing this thing that I was putting myself into fully. So the Fairy Voice Mother was kind of like a soft launch to be myself and show people my personality. And when that was sort of validated in terms of people saying that they connect with me, and it's nice to see this personality on the internet, because I have this kind of personality too, or whatever, it made me confident that I can be myself, and there will be people that don't like it, and there will be people that do, because that's something that we always get told, just be yourself. But it's very difficult to be yourself when you can't be sure that you're just a total freaking weirdo and no one's gonna like you. But then I was like, oh, people do like it, that's fine. So that is completely priceless. The opportunity to be myself all the time, and something that I didn't have before that I have now. I could never repay that to everyone that's watched and commented on my videos. Yeah, that's the thing too, is like, it's so scary going into the content. Like you said, like you chose a name that people in your regular life are not gonna kind of, it's not gonna be easy to find, unless it's kind of word of mouth kind of thing. Because again, it's like you're gonna get mean comments, but you're also gonna get like really amazing comments, and like ones that really move you, and like the community, just the support. And I always tell people in my Discord and things like that, I'm like, I don't feel like I do enough. And it's like, I don't feel like I do enough for you guys, because the change that has happened because of them is just brain explosion. So I really connect with that, because it's, you get into it and you're just like, I'm weird and I talk all over the place and I'm anxious and I'm awkward and like, I'm like, people really want to watch this. So I really get it. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I have that same feeling. Like, there's not a day that goes by when I'm like, oh gosh, I really hope that I can make this video really good and make this. What else can I do for them? And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ever look like that. But because I edit my videos a lot, and I try and make these, like, you know, documentary style things that take a long time, and everything takes me a long time because I'm so scattered. So I don't put out anywhere near as much as I like. And then whenever I get reassurance that it's like, oh no, it's fine, we'll wait. Like, you give us a lot, and I'm like, no, but you don't understand. Like, you've given me permission to be myself. Like, there's not really much that compares to it. So yeah, I do feel that debt that you're talking about. And yeah.
It's hard too, because you kind of you got to balance it with your own personal life as well, because it's like you don't want to give too much and burn out, or you don't want to spiral down that hole, but at the same time it's like you do notice I'm just like, I notice it.
Exactly.
I love that answer, because I think it's kind of a juxtaposition in a way, because it's like you think going into content creation or something like that would be, people always see kind of the negative side of things, which is like the comments and kind of all that online negative stuff that can happen. But on the flip side, it actually really kind of brings out that confidence. Because again, you get to be yourself, and there's people that are going to connect with that. You get to connect with people all over the world, which is super freaking cool.
Yeah, exactly. For me, the biggest negative of being an online content creator person is that there's just not enough time to do all the things that I want to do. The negative comments stopped bothering me a really long time ago, especially like when they're non-specific, like you're ugly and you're fat and I hate you and you sing like shit. Like that doesn't do anything anymore, because it's just so obviously hyper emotional and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It don't really feel anything.
Yeah,
But the feeling of guilt from wanting to be there for people the way that I feel there for me, like, that is the worst part.
Yeah. Honestly, because it's like, those are the people that have really supported your journey. So it's like you their opinion, and like, that's what matters more than just some like random person that's like, you suck, you know? Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Cool, brah. Thank you.
That's nice for you.
Yeah.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah, I hope you feel better now that you got that out of your system. So you've done vocal coaching, you've studied vocal performance, and you also are working on a master's in pedagogy. I kind of wanted to ask, when did your passion for vocals start? Is there like a specific moment that you remember that you're like, that's it, you know?
Well, sort of retrospectively, I've always had it, but I didn't realize that I could contribute myself vocally until I was about 11. In terms of, I'd always loved people's voices. I would get addicted to hearing certain people talk and stuff. Like, my granddad had such a warm voice, and it used to like give me shivers and stuff just from hearing it. And I've always had this extreme sensitivity to sound, and like hyper inquisitive about everything as well. Like, if I'm into something, I need to know absolutely everything there is to know about it. And so I started really learning music from playing the flute when I was like 6 or 7, and then I finally got the confidence when I was 11 to sing in public, just to see if I could do it, because I don't know, I think it's when you're a very shy child, as I was, it's not something you would, like, I can't sing, I'm too shy, you know. But then a few years went by and I sort of gave it a go, and then people were like, oh no, you can. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've been singing proudly since I was like 11.
That's awesome. I think it's something that's kind of rare to kind of know what you want to do, or what really fuels your passions at a young age, because then you have all this time to really build on that. And also, a lot of times, especially coming out of high school, people are just like, I don't know. And not that there weren't moments like that for you, maybe, like, I don't want to assume that, but to have that kind of, this is a passion of yours, I mean, singing is and vocals and music itself is such a powerful thing, which we'll definitely get into because I'm like, but I think that's really lovely that you started so young.
No, thanks. Yeah, I see it as I didn't really have a choice because I was just possessed by music and singing, and there was nothing that came even close in my life in terms of ability. Even I'm not very good at like pretty much anything else. I can barely catch a ball. Like
I feel that.
I'm quite useless without my ability to sort of teach voice and use my own voice. So yeah, I had to figure it out.
I mean, you're pretty kind and stellar person. So I think that shines through more than, I don't know, the ability to whittle wood or something, you know?
I don't even know what that is.
Just like you take a piece of wood and you just carve something out of it.
That was, no way.
It was the randomest thing that came to my brain. I was like, what's a random skill someone could have? Whittling
imagine
wood.
if I was like, oh no, actually that is my side project. I have an Etsy shop.
Yeah. I'd be like,
I would whittle on the side.
Speechless. Take the words right out of my mouth. What goals do you have after you get your master's in pedagogy?
Do you know, the master's is it's just not going to change anything about my life at all. It's something that I wanted to do because there is a limit on the amount that you can learn about the voice unless you... Oh, hello!
It's okay. Sorry, I was going to try and subtly put her down.
Oh no, I'm really glad you shouldn't.
Hello, baby. You did it, baby. She's like, okay, you tried to put me down, now you put me down.
Okay, now
she'll probably come back. But she was here for like the last 30 minutes. She was just below the table. She was just on my lap.
She was really interested about what I'm going to do after my master's, apparently. Nothing else.
No.
In order to learn the amount of stuff that I want to learn about the voice, you just have to enroll in postgraduate education, really. I'm not really bothered about having it as a thing. I just want access to the research.
I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense. Because you talked about wanting to know everything about what you were passionate about. So that makes sense. You don't need to have a goal in order to go to school, you know? Like, the goal is to learn because you're passionate about it. Like, that in itself can be a goal, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's loads of things I want to do. I've got a gazillion goals, but none of them are dependent on the masters, which is like kind of nice because I don't have any pressure, but also kind of problematic because I don't have any pressure. So meeting deadlines is beneficial because I'm just like, let me just read some more papers first before I write anything, and then all of a sudden.
You're like, what if that next paper is what I want to write about, though? Gotta read all of them.
I mean, the amount of stuff that I want to do could already be a PhD, but I don't want to dedicate the time required to do a PhD, basically. So,
valid.
I just want to learn as much as possible, and then keep teaching. Basically, I want to be like a human processor for really in-depth like knowledge about the voice. I want to take in loads of like jargony academic things and then share them in a really human way, because the voice has for many years been seen as something quite prestigious to learn, you know, like opera and all that stuff, but it's never made any sense to me because we've all got a voice, and it's the most free instrument that we have. So to be able to provide free education about it, to encourage more people to use their free instrument on YouTube is my goal.
I like it. That's actually a really interesting way of putting it, because I feel like the voice can seem some like very intimidating. I mean, if someone thinks, oh, this person has a good voice, it's like, okay, well, then they must sound like, I don't know, Christina Aguilera, and I don't sound like that, so my voice isn't good. And maybe I'm just projecting my own insecurities about it. You never know. But I think that's a really admirable goal to have, and be able to take all that knowledge and deliver it in a way that people understand, but also to encourage people to use their voice. Because I don't know how many times I've heard someone be like, "Oh no, I don't have a good voice," and I'm like, it's kind of like that thing where, you know, you say something really kind, but you would never say it to yourself, kind of thing where I'm like, you just need to learn how to use it. Like, it's an instrument, and your voice is going to be unique because you are unique. You no one has your voice. But it always kind of breaks my heart when people, it's that self-deprecating joke of, oh, my voice isn't good. I'm not gonna sing. I'm not gonna bother trying, you know? Right. I mean, it might not be an interest for them. Maybe that's kind of like their way of brushing that subject under the rug. But at the same time, it's like, what if that person actually believes that, but wants to sing?
Precisely. Yeah, I just know so many stories of people trying to sing when they're a teenager, and then they get discouraged and everything. And I'm not saying that I want to turn everyone into Christina Aguilera and I want everyone to have a 5-octave range and everything, but I want everyone to be able to express themselves vocally. Because it's very, very, very powerful. If it's for an audience or if it's just for yourself, you need to know that your voice is your friend and your channel to express yourself.
Absolutely.
And there are so many sounds that can come out that sound nothing like what people's references are. Like, if your references are only Western pop music and belting, and that's what we say is good, and you might have a natural ability to do something completely different, like overtones or throat singing or something, and you just haven't been shown and you don't know how. And so I want to do that.
That leads me into kind of asking about the healing power of our voice and how it can be like a positive impact on mental health. Because I always kind of talk about in my little breakdowns how there are some lyrics that can be really cathartic, you know, to just say them out loud. Sorry, Kitty's clawing at the closet because she wants in and she won't stop. You know, I was like, she literally will just sit there and she'll make this like kss, kss, kss sound. Because she'll use her nails just a little bit, but not a lot. But yes, I did watch an interview that you had, Rosalie, and you kind of talked about, I think there was a portion where you talked about how cats kind of like, they can heal themselves with their purr, and how our voice can also kind of do that. So I wanted to maybe just ask to explain that a little bit to me. And to everyone watching.
There is research, anything to do with voice research is limited. It's not like an extremely well-funded thing, so there are not like a huge amounts of peer-reviewed papers on this sort of thing, so it is a little bit more it is a bit more new. But cats purr, and the vibrations that happen as a result of their purring, they sort of allegedly tune the frequency in terms of the frequency of other bodily functions, and it sort of regulates them health-wise, and can help to repair organs and all these kinds of things. There are several papers about it, but I haven't delved into that too much at this time. It's just things that I skim over at the moment. But there's also a lot of research gone into the impact that singing has with Alzheimer's and dementia, and the feeling of eradicating feelings of loneliness. And it confirms something that I've always thought about my own voice, which is that my voice is like my friend. And as soon as I start using it, something's in the room with me. And that's a real thing. But cats purring is fascinating in general, the way that they do it. I made a little video about this, but it is really new research to find out why how cats purr. And they basically have little pads on the edge of their vocal folds, which is why they can do it and breathe in and out and in and out, because there's these little pads that come together without the whole vocal folds having to come together. So that's why it's so relaxing. It's such a low frequency. Low frequencies have lots of healing properties. The same was like this craze that's happening right now with red light therapy and any light therapy.
Yes.
It's just matching a certain frequency with another frequency in the body. And so sound and light are magical tools if channeled properly.
Yeah. I think there was even on the TikTok, they were talking about like brown noise and white noise and like specific like frequencies that were supposed to be kind of soothing to listen to kind of quiet the mind a little bit.
Binaural beats are amazing. Don't know if you've seen those before. Like this, you can just go on YouTube and type in binaural beats, like 5-hour track, whatever, and it's like 2 lanes of frequency that sort of make your brain figure out what's in between it. And so whenever I have to do administrative tasks, I put this binaural beats on, and my mind is quietened down. Instantly.
Okay. I feel like that was the direction I was going in. I was like, brown noise, white noise stuff. Binaural beats.
Yeah, they're amazing. I recommend that.
Actually, I'm gonna type it down actually right this second, because
there you go. There's lots of different kinds of relaxing music, but for me, being, super music-y, if anything has a melody or chords or any harmony or rhythmic structure, I'm like, it doesn't help me at all. But this doesn't. It's just waves of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get distracted at all. It's great.
Yeah, definitely quieting the mind. It would be nice to just not have that. And that brings us to your album. It came out on November 8th. An absolutely freaking gorgeous album. I've listened to the entirety of it, and I have to say, there are not many albums where I will put 80% of that album onto my regular listening playlists.
Wow.
And this was 100% one of them. Absolutely gorgeous. And it really felt like you were opening up to kind of like all of us. And it was freaking gorgeous.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, what kind of prompted you to write and debut this album? Was there like something that kind of was like, now it's time to do it? Or was it kind of something that, snuck up on you and you're just like, this is happening?
So I spent lots of years, 4 years, I would say, 4 or 5 years, writing songs for other people and trying to have songs that I'd written be produced. Because I am a vocal producer, but I'm not a music producer. I'm not hugely interested in actually producing the songs myself. So I tried to get my songs produced for several years, and it wasn't really happening. And there's a bunch of like bad things that went on in that time, sort of being taken advantage of, and working for free and empty promises sort of thing. But then the time sort of snuck up on me where I had wonderful people in my life that did what they said they were going to do, and were really brilliant and felt we felt akin musically. And so it was just since meeting those people, Eduardo, the producer, we're so on the same level musically. So since I met him, we were able to come up with something really quickly. And that's it really. So I've been working on this album like a year and a half before it came out, which wasn't really that long considering I'd spent all those years previously and not actually ended up with anything. But in terms of the content of the songs, what I wanted to say, I didn't plan on having something as open and honest as it ended up being. I didn't really plan in any of the sort of story of the album until it started coming out. Because I write songs in a weird way, which is that everything comes to me at the same time. So the story of the song, the lyrics and the melody, and I hear everything all at the same time. I don't really write lyrics and then melody or anything like that. And it was just coming out, like all of this honesty and this rawness was coming out every time I thought of a song, and I was like, well, we have a theme. So yeah, then sort of the rest of it sort of shaped around that. But it must just be what was in my subconscious, because it was after having my Fairy Voice Mother channel up for a year or so and people being so enabling and encouraging. It's like I knew subconsciously that I did just kind of have permission to be myself and make something personal.
I think it was really, really, really special to just see, not only in the music and in the lyrics, but also in a lot of the music videos, just how the best word I could use would be grounded. You really seemed to be, and grounded in not only, again, the song, but also with music videos. I love music videos. Because I think it just adds that extra layer to the song, and it really, like, there are certain things that really hit harder, or really pop out to people when they watch a music video, versus just listening to the song. And not that the song itself is not amazing, but I think it's kind of like that little
I think
cherry
so.
on top, you know? Yeah,
for sure.
So I really felt that in a lot of these music videos. So I think
lovely.
it's mwah. So good.
Thank you. I'm pleased to hear that. Yeah. Music videos was such a surreal thing to be able to do, because they're bloody so expensive, and so they're logistical nightmares, and you need so many people involved. Like all the jobs to make music videos are so specific, and I didn't know anything. I'm like, well, I record YouTube videos on my iPad. You know, that's about it. And it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing like any of the video experience that I had. So it's really great to know that all the effort and resources meant something.
Yeah,
you got something.
I'm sure. Was Eduardo really helpful in the process of making all those videos, or
absolutely not at all? No. He specifically said, he was like, I'm not doing anything visual at all.
No.
I tap out at the music, and I was like, fair enough. Yeah, he doesn't want to do anything to do with videos. He was like, I'm gonna produce the songs and mix them and master them, which is a lot of jobs already. So videos are completely separate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to how you told us how you wrote the songs and how everything kind of comes at once. I was kind of curious, was there any songs that you found were, I guess, what song was the hardest, you would say, that you wrote?
All mine was the hardest. Yeah, for loads of reasons. That song is like my most honest song, in terms of, like, I never really alluded to any of the stuff that I spoke about there, in terms of, like, sort of self-harming as a teenager and struggling with all the stuff that I say in that song. I can't remember the lyrics now. Yeah, feeling afraid and self-destructive. And then my sort of philosophy on life was the chorus that sort of summing it all up. And that felt kind of vulnerable as well, because it was like, the things that have happened to me and the things that have occurred on my path are what they are. Like, you know, they're not blessings, they're not signs, but they're all mine. And this sort of, like, I'll just accept everything as it is and not be a victim and everything. I don't know, that kind of felt a bit controversial to write it at the time.
I don't think so. I don't know if you still feel that way, but I thought it was absolutely gorgeous how you took. I think I actually reacted to this one, and I kind of talked about how I thought it was really, really beautiful how you took all of the experiences, good and bad, and you owned them. It was kind of like, I can't change what's happened. I can't change. Like, I am who I am. My past is what my past is. And there are definitely darker parts of that past, because, again, you go, the grooves on my arms, the screams I bottled, and the dark crept out to live in me, a wide awake, reoccurring dream. Like, it's very, the pain is very present, but you're owning it. And I think that's really, really beautiful, because you can shove it away. You can try and not deal with it. You can, people self-medicate and all this stuff, and it's kind of like when I was in therapy, for I think it was for either the OCD or whatever, but they called it exposure therapy, and basically they were like, if you, obviously in a safe way, but expose yourself to the thing that is really stressing you out, like if you think that you step on this crack, something really bad is going to happen, you sit in that feeling, and you kind of, as long as you can, and you kind of sit in it and be like, nothing bad is going to happen, like everything is okay. And this kind of reminded me of that, of instead of shying away from the darkness that lives in us, it's going to be there your whole life, and you might as well, sit with it, make it comfy, instead of agonizing over it. I really liked what you did with that song, so I don't think it's controversial at all. I really liked it.
Oh, good. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's just that I suppose anything that is so honest and so admitting, it feels a bit vulnerable. And the song was just a pain in the ass to write as well, because I didn't want to make the vocal performance like really anything like, I didn't want it to be like a singy thing. I needed it to really portray this realness. So I kept the choruses like really, really plain. And I wrote like 3 different chorus melodies, which is really unusual for me. But the chorus melody that ended up like, the dark crept out to live in me, I initially had it as like the end bit where there's nowhere or when or how, I don't know why. That was supposed to be the chorus melody, but then I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So I kept it in, but I put it at the end and made sure that the rest of the song had like a slow burn up to it, just to make sure that I didn't like mince my words. Everything was very easy to understand. So that was weird, because as I say, that never happens. It's always all together. So,
but I think it's like you said, like you wanted it to be a little bit more simplified. The way that I see it, at least, is that this is a song that someone could come and they could emote through your music, And I mean, if not that those vocal riffs are not welcome, they're beautiful. But I mean, the average person coming in with not a lot of know-how would really struggle with that. And so I think being able to come into a song and being able to use your own voice and still emote through your music, I think it's a very nice choice.
Thank you. Oh, I'm really glad you said that, because I really wanted it to feel like that in the chorus, like the way that the rhythm is for like, the dark crept out to live in me, like having that space in between the words is a really sort of proud admittance that like I did experience something very dark actually, but then the black hole swallowed all my pride, and now I own everything that I have. Like the fact that people can recreate that really easily, really boldly, and feel that they can sing those words, anyone can sing those words and admit that to themselves, that's what I wanted. So
exactly.
That's pretty good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the catharticness of it, and kind of like you said earlier, not feeling alone in a lot of situations. So being able to take that and be like, okay, well, 1, she's going through this. 2, I can take this song and I can get emotions out that may be bottled or trapped or
exactly.
What say you? And then
love it.
So the first song you have on the album is Ella.
Yes.
And I know that you the stanzas are from the poem Voice of the Voiceless. What does this poem mean to you?
It's just the whole, basically, Ella Wheeler Wilcox's poems are just like, they freak me out in terms of like, I can just feel her, a woman that's been dead for like 100 years, and like her struggles and her outlook on the world just seems to be the same as mine. And so I just like read all of her poems and just like, wow, I really feel that. And like the power of her words is very potent to me. And so the stanzas from that poem, the way that she explains the concept of, I'm gonna stand up for people.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak my truth. That's what the poem's about. I'm the voice of the voiceless. Through me the dumb shall speak, to the deaf world's ears be made to hear the words of the wordless weak. And I'm my brother's keeper, and I shall fight his fights and speak the words of beast and bird till the world shall set things right. It's just like it's so dramatic and sensitive and full of frustration and passion and love, and I feel all those things inside me as well. And so I think it was like a magical thing for me to think that I can like put some color into those words that I think are so beautiful, and people can hear them that would not have heard them otherwise. But yeah, I love that sentiment.
I think it's an interesting choice for the album, because I think going back to your All Mine song, like, you in a way are a voice for the voiceless. Does that kind of make sense? Where people may not be able to kind of work out what's going on within them, but they might hear your song and be like, oh my gosh, like, she gets it. And that in itself is a voice to them, and they're being heard, and they're feeling seen. So I think choosing this piece, especially for such an album that was as emotional and open as it was, I think I'm like, I don't know if it was intentional, but I'm like, it worked. I think it was so perfect, because it's like you and yourself are kind of...
It felt right. The whole thing just felt right, honestly, and then it does sort of add up. Because that was the point of the album, is to just sort of, all of the stuff that you said. But then like
So wrong.
Yeah, it was just crazy. And I just started reading it and singing it at the same time. So there was no like planned melody or anything. I just sort of sang them the way that it felt. So it's something that I would definitely do again. If I find a poem that resonates with me, just sort of sit down, turn the mic on, and just like start singing it, see what happens, because it was really fun.
And it just
came out. Yeah. And I showed the producer, Eduardo, what I did, and I was like, I've got a demo for something that I'd like to do, and he was like, no, you're not re-recording it. Send it to me like that. And I was like, oh. Yeah. And that felt a bit vulnerable, but then I just got more and more used to the idea, and now I like it. But at the time I was like, I'm gonna just put my demo in to open the album. That's a little bit strange.
You're like, oh, I'm scared.
Yeah.
It is scary, because artists are like, kind of want to be perfectionists, like tweak this little thing, change this little thing. So I think it's nice that you have someone like Eduardo to be like, no. This is it.
It is important, because then it reminds me continuously of the point, which is to share things in an honest way, and the only way that I know how, which is with singing and music, because I never wanted my music to be like a vanity project. I wanted it to be something that felt like I had to do, because there was something inside of me that I need to show, because people might want to hear it for themselves, to give themselves something. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Even though it was like a demo and everything, and it was like, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, that was sort of like, it's the old me, or the ego that sort of comes in and is like, are you sure? But then you have to be like, yes, I am sure. It's fine as it is. And having the Fairy Voice Mother channel and doing as much work as I've done with other singers is really helpful, because the advice that I would give to someone else would be, leave it.
Exactly.
You have to take your own advice. And when you're always giving advice every day, which is what I do in my job, you can remember it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to take your own advice. But yeah, you don't want it to be an ego trip. Like you kind of said, it's nice to have someone who can kind of be like, no, this is good enough. Because I feel like you can also get in that trap of being like, oh, it's not good enough for them. No. They want you. They want genuine you. And I feel like you can definitely, it's kind of like a cake. You want to decorate it and you're like, oh, this is nice. But I'm just just gonna put a touch here, and maybe a touch here. And
Yeah,
you got like a 3-tier cake, and you're like, what have I done?
Yeah, having people that you trust to listen to things is really, really important. Like someone that's not just gonna like blow sunshine up your ass. You don't want that, but you also need someone that is on your quest in their own way. Like, so for example, our friend Barry, who's a mixing engineer and producer as well, he listened to all of the tracks before we said they were done and gave like really specific constructive criticism or not, and that really helped Eduardo and I have the confidence to be like, oh no, okay, after these few things, then maybe it's done. Yeah, it's done. So I would definitely recommend that if people want to make music, is to just have someone out there that you can trust to share it with, to give you specific criticism.
And I think it's hard to find that sometimes. I know.
Oh yeah.
It's a certain type of person who can be honest with you without attacking you, you know? And maybe it's just coming from my Canadian background, but finding that can be really hard, because I feel like a lot of times, at least in Canada, it's a lot of oh yeah, it's good, it's great, you did great. Like, but then underneath it's kind of like there's other stuff that they're kind of not saying. So hearing you having found that, I'm like, it's the golden egg.
It is.
Beautiful.
I think the best thing to do to get that out of people is to say, could you tell me like some specific things that you noticed? Even if they love everything, say if someone's like, yeah, it's great, you didn't like it, then you could just ask them, oh, what did you like about it? Just so I know, like, if your ideas sort of line up with my ideas. And is there anything that you can think that you would have maybe done a bit differently? And you don't have to take the criticisms, but just the constructive, specific nature of feedback is the only kind that really matters. So even if, you can be super nice and stuff, and someone could be super nice back to you, but then you can also probe a little bit deeper and just like, if you wouldn't mind, can you just pick out a few things that if you loved everything, can you just tell me why? You know?
I did want to ask about Ella. The first thing that came to mind was Prince of Egypt in my brain. I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard the soundtrack to Prince of Egypt. It's a cartoon from the 90s. And it's an animation, but the music in it is just like so grand and just so freaking beautiful. And obviously some of the vocals definitely gave me kind of like the Middle Eastern kind of vibes. And I know that you had talked about in your bio about Hindustani and Carnatic kind of vocal style. Carnatic, sorry. Was that something that you kind of brought into this, that kind of came from those singing styles that you've done?
Oh, well, definitely, because they're things that I have looked into and practice at rags and stuff. So that would definitely kind of come into my voice. But not deliberately. Like with that one, it was just I just sang it the first thing that come into my head. So the part where it says circumvent, I was just like circumvent, because circumvent means like sort of go around it. So I was like going around the word, and it was just like it just kind of felt right at the time. So like scalic wise, I do really like those sort of harmonic minor. So that is just what came out. So that was a really long, boring answer to, it did influence me, but it wasn't something that I did on purpose.
It's boring. I think it's really cool. I didn't, again, coming into this, I didn't know all of the different vocal styles that you kind of delved into. So upon listening to this, I was like, like, wow. I'm like, this is cool. I'm like, dang. It sounded gorgeous. And also I like the way that you, like you said, you skirted around the word, and the meaning of the word is to skirt around. I loved flow. I loved it. You had some beautiful, crazy riffs in there. At the same time, the song itself was really, really calming, really uplifting. And there was some specific lyrics that I thought were just like chef's kiss. So if my life's a movie that no longer moves me, it kind of makes me think that there's kind of like a quote of, you are the main character in your own life. And I think sometimes that can kind of be forgotten, whether it's, I don't know, putting someone else first or not going after the things you want.
Yeah.
I also really liked expectations. Expectations. Pound the door, don't let them in. You can only flow the way your river bends. Wave away what you can't change. One, I feel like as humans, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Two, we are who we are. Trying to change the landscape of who we are to make it quote unquote fit. And then the wave away what you can't change kind of brings me to again, it's kind of like that reminder of worrying about something you can't change is only harming yourself.
Yes.
But it can also be really hard to accept what you can't change, because obviously there are a lot of situations where you obviously want something to change, and there's like a little part of you that's kind of like, well, if I worry enough and will it into existence, it'll change. But yeah, that's not how it works. So there was, I really like that song, not only for the lyrics, but also for the music itself.
That sentiment being finished by like the line after, which is breathe in love, blow out the fear, is because that's sort of like what I did to get to where I am now, which is which is like, if you just see if you can just find something that you have love for, and then it will come in and you'll be like, oh, I like doing this. Well, it sounds quite scary and I don't know anyone else that does it. And then you just blow out the fear, because the fear is what holds you back. Fear is what says that you shouldn't pursue your passion. There is no other reason to not do it apart from fear. Fear of not making enough money, fear of not being good enough, whatever. So I know it's much more nuanced than that, and it's so much easier to say than it is to do. But I think if one can at least admit to themselves what it is that fires them up, how they want to contribute to the world, how they want to be, that's a really good first step to take. And the waving away what you can't change is easier to do when you realize that there are a lot of things that you actually can change. If you just break it down into smaller things, there's something that you want to do. You want to, I don't know, what's relevant for us is make a YouTube channel. So you can't change the amount of subscribers that you have. You can't like physically change that number, but what you can do is keep making videos, try different kinds of videos, try different lighting, try different lengths of video. There's lots of things to try all the time on that journey. So I'm glad that you like that. And I deliberately put a lot of riffs in that one, that in a way that I don't usually do. So usually with riffs, they're easier to sing when you change the vowel. So like, oh yeah, like that sort of thing. But I deliberately wanted it to all have the same vowel so that it felt more flowy and less like Christina Aguilera or virtuosic. So I did the feel your soul in, like all in the same vowel, so that it just felt like as opposed
like a
to
soft wave.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a gorgeous voice.
You do
If you think you've seen me before, that's probably true. You are addicted to the taste. Salt from our tears sting hot with rage. If this is all there is to love, what else can I do? I also wanted to talk about Murphy's Law. I liked the little part where you put at dawn the wren will sing. Lolli Wren.
See what I did there? Yeah.
I loved it. And I also wanted to ask, was this a poem that you wrote, or was it a poem? Okay, yeah, because I loved how you kind of I guess, would it be spoken word poetry?
Yeah.
Or I don't know if spoken word is a different genre of poetry in a sense. It almost felt like I was listening to it again this morning, and I was like, oh, I'm like, this is kind of like the bridge to the album, you know? Like if you put it in like kind of like a song format, I'm like, this is the bridge. And I'm like, I thought it was really beautiful that you took that and you put it was poetry, spoken word with obviously the music around it, but
that was the point. That it was a bridge to the end. So
cool.
That was really scary. Yeah. I felt like a total Wally doing that.
Why?
I was here with my mic like, if there's an urge to give up, there's a sense you should stay. Like, it was weird because I've never done anything like that before. I usually sing, and singing's my happy place. So to use my actual voice, that felt really naked.
Yeah.
I felt naked doing that. Because, you know, everyone says that their talking voice freaks them out.
True.
And apparently mine is no different. I didn't realize how weird I would find it because I sat down to do it because I wrote the poem anyway, and I was like, I'm gonna like emote, and then it just sounded like I was really emoting, so I was like, this is too much, what's wrong with you? And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it like really casual, and then I sounded like I was falling asleep, and then so I was like, just stop trying. And then I just said it as if I was sort of like giving advice to a friend or something, and I just said it. And then I was like, okay, this is fine. But I haven't listened to that one much. It's weird.
It's hard to listen to your own voice. It's understandable because I've auditioned for some like voiceover work, and it's kind of like how much is too much, how much is not enough. Because sometimes it's like, oh, I'm trying to sound kind of like unaloof, but then it's just like I sound like I'm falling asleep or whatever, you know. And you're just like, this is not what I'm trying to get across. I'm like,
but even then, like at least with voiceover work, you have some kind of brief. But the brief with this is like, be yourself.
Yeah, which is even scarier.
Like, what is that?
Yeah. Let me be a cartoon character in the world of Roblox or whatever. I don't know.
Exactly. At least there would be a brief, but I'm like, nope, just have to be as honest and as vulnerable as possible. Let's just record it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think it definitely it came through. It came through really good.
Thank you.
It's not like it's really fluffed up, but it's genuine and it's grounded. And I use that word a lot, grounded, because again, I feel like this entire album is just it's reaching to others in terms of making them not feel alone and sharing your story, but it also feels like it's us seeing you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, you know, and just simply you. I'm using that word a lot, but I feel like that's the best way that kind of explains it, is that you just seem very, very grounded in this, and it's kind of like the song All Mine. You're kind of like, this is me.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear, because I just wanted to make something that I could be proud of forever, because whenever we make things, we always want to pick them apart afterwards, and it's like, oh, but I know so much more now than I did then, and I know that one day in the future I'll look back and that and be like, you know, because of loads of things, but like, because, you know, such is the nature of making anything. But I will always be able to remind myself that I made this completely honestly. I didn't. I wanted to make something that meant something to me, and that something that I really wanted to, you know, I did want to make people not feel alone and tell the truth and all that stuff. And so however much I will criticize myself in the future for what I've done before, at least I'll say, well, I wasn't pretending, I wasn't trying to be anyone I wasn't, and I tried my best.
And honestly, it's kind of like a little time capsule. It's like exactly. This is who you were in this moment of time. And I think looking back on anything, you can be harsh on yourself, but at the same time, it's without that, I wouldn't be here. And who I was then, I'm equally as proud of as who I am. I don't know, 10 years from now or something like that. Artists do that, whether it's singing or it could be drawing. You know, you drew something 5 years ago, you're like, ooh. You're like, I don't really like that, but it's like at that time, it's like this is you. And that is something I think to be really, really proud of. And I can say confidently that there are a lot of people that adore you and love the music. And no matter how I feel like you feel about it in the future, I think it's still something very precious that is a part of that kind of journey, you know?
Thank you so much.
I don't know what it was.
It's
like a little sticky steps.
Yes. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, it means a lot. It really does, because, you know, when you hold all this stuff in, all the amount of time that I held it in, musically, emotionally, and then you show it and you're like, so what do you think? And then to hear feedback like that, which was really, you've said sort of exactly what I wanted to hear in a really some way, but you've interpreted it the way that I hoped people might interpret it, which is like very
good,
gratifying. So thank you.
That's really good, because it's like you kind of get scared that people are not gonna get what you're trying to get across. And that only came out like what, 2 weeks ago now, 2-ish, 2.5.
2 weeks ago,
yeah. It's just the baby. It's just soon it will be an adult.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, one day.
And I'll hate it. No, I'm joking. No, I won't hate it.
You'll invite it home for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your English accent is very good.
Oh gosh, I'm so I feel like I've done it a couple times and I'm like, Rachel, stop. It's kind of like that mental thing where you hear something and you just want to like fit into it, and I'm like, so Rachel, funny. Stop.
It's
I'm like,
good.
She's gonna think you're like being rude, and I'm like, no.
Do you know, it's so funny because my Canadian students and my American students, a lot of them do that. And I find it really funny. And they always say that like, oh no, I'm not taking the piss or whatever. But I just think English accents are quite funny, I guess. So it just always makes me laugh. And you're like, oh,
I don't
know.
I just, so it's just charming. It's so, honestly, I think it's charming. I like the English accent. It's so fun. Aww. Accents are fun. I can't do a lot of them, but they're fun.
I think it would depend on the stimulus. Like whoever you had in front of you, I'm sure you could just start to.
Yeah. Once you hear them for a little bit, you're just like.
Yeah.
Put a couple things out there.
Exactly.
To those of you watching, please go check out Lolli Wren's new album. Obviously, I'm gonna post all of the linkies and the socials in the description below. Yeah, it's a gorgeous freaking album. We touched on a couple of the songs, but I would highly recommend just going through all of them in honestly kind of in order, I would say. It has a flow. Winky winky.
It does have a flow. Yeah. Well, I'm very, very grateful to have been the first person that you've done this kind of format with on your channel. So thank you so much for that. Congratulations on the community that you, Ray, have been able to build so quickly and so honestly. And so
thanks, Molly.
It's just been fabulous to see all the people that have been able to resonate with someone so themselves and so dedicated. So congratulations.
Thanks,
on everything that you've achieved. I really mean it. And then regarding my album, it exists. You can stream it for free, so you don't have to worry about it if you hate it. And if you don't hate it and you want to buy it, you can also buy it. There are CDs now available as well.
Are there?
Yeah, just today. They got launched today. So by the time this comes out, they should be more available. There are 500 copies, that's it. I'm not going to reprint anymore. And there'll be like maybe more, but the design will be slightly different. But yeah, and I have t-shirts. I'm wearing it.
Yes.
Now.
Yes. Which is
yeah.
actually that's from one of your music videos, right?
This is the
eyeball?
cover art of the album. The album, and
Yes.
it is from. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Sorry, I jumped a cue there.
You are right. It's this was like a behind the scenes photo of one of my music videos when I was freezing cold and wet, and this was my eye,
Yeah.
and now it's pink, but it's not like
you have pretty eyeballs.
Thank you.
No, not pink eye.
No,
if you get
but
the
it kind of
merch,
is that.
you won't get pink eye from
Guaranteed.
No,
not
guaranteed.
from that anyway.
Not from that.
Yeah.
Who was the artist that took the photo and turned it into the eye that we see on your shirt?
Carolina. She does everything visual that you see for The Fairy Voice Mother and Lolli Wren. She takes the pictures, she does the drawings, she literally does everything. She is like...
That's awesome.
Necessary. She is amazing. Because I can't
necessary.
Amazing. She has made a lot of this possible. So, yeah. I hope you enjoy the album if you listen to it, and let me know what you think of it if you do. And just
are the CDs on your website?
Yes, the CDs are everything. I was just like,
I kind of want to know where the CDs are going to be.
They are. They're on lolliwren.com.
Okay.
And yeah, until I don't know when this is going to come out, but for the next few days, I'm going to sign and personalize them for free. Anyone that buys them this week.
I'll try and get this out fast then.
Yeah. So that's it, and they'll be shipped in December.
Awesome.
I will see you soon on the internet, and hopefully like this soon.
Yes,
it was
please.
so lovely to hang out with you. You're so lovely.
It was lovely hanging out with you.
Thank you. My face hurts from smiling, so
yeah. I know when you get like your jaws where you're just like, oh my god. Yeah.
It's one of those.
To start, how is the starting? How does the starting start? Like we said in the beginning, before we started recording, we're just like,
so yeah.
that'll do. Where is that from? That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Donkey. It's donkey. That'll do, pig. That's like the alternate version, the fan fiction or something.
Oh no! I mean, I do have pig emotes on my Twitch, but
oh, there you go.
I want to be a petal. I don't want to be bark, Lolli. I want to be a petal.
Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous.